Calling this meeting of the Manistee Area Public Schools Board of Education to order at 7:02. Looking at the agenda, we have a couple corrections. First off, we're going to add on the celebration of math success, the anti-bullying contest, and a poem being read out loud. Under business action items, we are going to change item I to no action required. It will kind of merge into J. Okay. And that is it. Does anyone else have any other?
You do have to, under 6, correspondence and superintendent's report, we added under I, points of pride, not only the spring play with the Little Mermaid, but also the 32nd Bannerama on the 18th at 2:30 at the gymnasium over at the high school. Likewise, under 8, business action items, we'll be doing a roll call vote on item E, which is approval of best practice incentive school board resolution. We are eliminating the need for action on item G. Therefore, item H becomes G. Item I, there's no need for action as well. And so J becomes H and K becomes I. Except after C.
Any other questions or comments?
I'll explain that. There's an explanation for it.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Second. All right. Motion by Chris, seconded by Jim. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed say no. All right. Motion passes. Item number 3, celebration of math success.
Yes, if we could do the Jefferson students first, that would be great. So, Mr. Huber.
We're going to be kind to them and let them get out of here so they don't have to do it over. So first of all, welcome to Jefferson. If you know, coming in here every day, if you get a chance to come in here, what a great place this is, and we're just full of great people. And got to plug the best secretary that we've ever had around here. She's amazing. So one of the fun things about Jefferson having a meeting here, I've always thought, is you get to see some of our youngest students, and then you always get to see some of our older students. And it's just great to see where they are right now and where they're heading. And we've got 3 scheduled. I don't know if Alec is going to make it, but we'll see. But we've got, there's an old adage in show business. When you got kids, don't try to compete against them. Get them on stage and let them do their thing. So we've got Olivia and we've got Melanie, and they're just going to show you a couple of a project that they did and something that we've done recently, and we'll let them take it away. How about we have Olivia go first?
Yeah, right there.
Come on up here.
Hi, my name is Olivia Thomas. Reading from my iPad includes improving my spelling. Story writing on Story Buddy is improving because the correct spelling pops up. I get more practice with fractions from IXL Math and the Pizza app. KidBlog is my favorite because I love to write and I have a lot to say. Using KidBlog, you can also respond to other comments from students and then they can respond back again. It is a lot of fun. On my iPad, I learned about weather from a website called Weather Wizard. I could read about different kinds of severe weather. When it came to forecast for the weather, when it came time to forecast the weather for my science project, we used the iPad for making the video of our work. I love TikTok. Please visit the Moodle page to watch the science project called Hurricanes.
We've got now, so tell us the way we're grading. Christine, let's go ahead and
Okay, I have my 2 students, and this year for our Bear books, we grow about nonfiction. I let the children choose an animal that they were interested in, and they did a research project on the animal. Melanie's owl is sitting right up on the table, so he came to watch. And so they created the nonfiction bear book, and then they also made some kind of a reproduction of their animal. Mr. Alec did a blobfish, which is his animal of choice.
Blobfish.
Blob.
Ugly.
Yes. And it was made of jello, and it was sitting above our lockers for a couple weeks, and all of a sudden we started smelling something. So he couldn't bring his because it's kind of a little bit disgusting. But they're going to share their books with you. So we'll let Miss Melanie go first.
Snow owls. By Melanie Wisher. I dedicate this book to my family. Snow owls' prey are water birds, for example, ducks, and they also eat mice and fish. The female snowy owls are all white with brown or black markings. The male snowy owls are all fur-white. Where the snow owl lives: Alaska, Canada, and the United States in winter. The snow owl's eyes are not round; they are tube-shaped. Snowy owls are almost extinct because hunters shoot them. Bad. No hunting. Good. Save the snow owls. I picked the snow owl because the snow owl actually saves the world, because if snow owls didn't eat water birds or mice, then there would be too many water birds and too many mice. Blobfish.
Just like you practiced.
Blobfish live on the ocean floor where not that many fish live. Blobfish don't have muscles, but they have soft bones. Blobfish eat sea urchins and mollusks as they float by. Blobfish cannot swim, they just sit and float. Blobfish enemies are humans. Blobfish are caught in trolling nets accidentally. They aren't edible, they die when brought up in nets. Scientists fear blobfish may become endangered. Mom blobfish lay thousands of eggs. She stays near them until they hatch. Daddy sit on or near the eggs to help protect them too. Blobfish grow to be up to 2 feet long, weighing up to 20 pounds. They are found around the southern coast of Australia. Unless you're a fisherman, you may never see a real blobfish. Blobfish live way down deep where the pressure is too high to swim. If you took a foam cup down, it would get crushed into a blob. Small blob. Blobfish don't have a gas bladder to help them float up like other fish. Blobfish are like a blob of jello, so the pressure doesn't crush them. Blobfish are just that, a massive blob with a funny face. Blobfish have been named the ugliest animal on earth. I'm the ugliest!
Yeah. Do you want to show them the picture of your project that you made since we couldn't keep it? Okay, thanks.
And you can show the people that we need. Go ahead,
Go ahead,
show
show
them.
them. Walk down the tables.
Yeah, walk right down. Walk right down.
Very funny.
And this is a side note, Alec is new to us this year. Alec, tell everybody where you came from.
California.
California. A little bit different winter for him here. He's done a great job. So, hey, that's just a little sample of why it's pretty rare we don't leave with a smile. It's pretty tough not to every day. So, thank you guys for visiting us. We're thrilled to be here.
Well, and then next we have the person who gets to tell those current students, which is Mr. Ethan Hurley from the West Shore ESD Career Tech Center.
I think now I know I was invited to be the sacrificial lamb after the kids. I'll stand back here, but thank you guys very much for having me. Like Mr. Chandler said, I'm the principal of the Career Tech Center down at West Shore Community College, part of West Shore Education Service District. I'm also the principal of ASM Tech, the early college. So a couple things down there that your kids take advantage of and take part in. And I just kind of came to say that how excited we are to have you guys be a part of us. We currently serve 14 different school districts, and Manistee is the third largest sender to us, behind Lovington and Manistee, Mason County Central. So it's a large number of students. We have 10 different programs that they come down to. Got a couple of these guys that they'll come talk to you about things that they're doing here. But we also have a large number of students in ASM Tech that come down there. It's really been, I think, a partnership that's benefited us both. One thing I think it's important for board members and community members to know is that we don't really think of it as an us and a them. You know, there is an ESD, and those people pay millage, and then you guys pay tuition to come in. But when it comes to enrollments, when it comes to classes, when it comes to students, it's really just a kid is a kid. And they're in our neighborhood, they're on our side of the state, so we don't line up, well, who are these guys and what's next with them? We line them up all as one group. So when we run into issues like we have this year of being over full, we do it as a group. How can we do this? We have an example of auto this year where someone may ask, Rudy, hey, you thought about auto? Was there a plan B? Was construction of maybe interest to you? Was something else? And we really try to work with the kids to give them something that's great for them down there. Another thing that we do that includes you guys and helps students make decisions is in 8th grade, they come down for a field trip, get a chance to see all of the programs real quick, kind of 6 minutes. We call it speed dating, learn a little bit about every program. And then when they come back in 10th grade, they get to spend 15 or 20 minutes in like the 3 or 4 programs they're really interested in. So we bring them all back down again in 10th grade to really kind of see what's the drive like, and is this program really something I'm interested in. Most of our programs are just 1-year programs. There are some that allow second-year students under different situations, but most of them are 1-year programs. So there's a lot of students that come, like these two, come for graphic arts 1 year, and the next year come for something else. But it's just a partnership that's worked out really well. It was great when Mr. Huber worked with us, and as a transition to Ms. Radis, and it's been great. And Mr. Howell's counselor has been super to work with, and so it's just a partnership that's working out great for us, and I think it's really benefiting kids. I think you'll see here in a second there's been a huge growth in the number of students from your area coming down. And we were real excited this year to do the Allied Health program down there. I know they made some transportation issues, but it allowed us to offer that certified nursing assistant. So I think you have almost 10 students who are going through the certified nursing assistant program that are going to hopefully the second week in June take that test and get their national boards passed. So that should be a really exciting thing. That's something we couldn't offer before. So that was a nice benefit to have. I know there's some more things that they have coming, but if you have questions for me, I'm glad to answer them. Or at the end, I'd be happy to do that too. Thank you guys very much for supporting these guys, and the kids especially.
Thank you.
I'd like to introduce to you Rudy Link and Sophie Schreiber. They're going to talk briefly about their experience in Career Tech.
All right. Well, personally, I really like I'm in the welding program, and I really like the course. One, because it's all hands-on, and it's something I like a lot, which I think it helps me learn faster and better, and a lot of the other kids, I think. And the way like the teacher teaches it to us is very hands-on, and we do it mostly ourselves. And we've been practicing the same things all year, and it kind of got really boring, and wasn't sure if I wanted to keep doing the class, but then now we're actually getting into doing something with it. We made a wood splitter and we made log holders, and we're going to make a trellis or something, but it's cool because we've been practicing these same welds all year, and now we're actually putting it into something worth it. So, and it's also really cool working with the other students, because if I go into welding, I'm going to be working with these kids the rest of my life. So it's cool to get the interaction with the kids from other schools who you never see. So that's just something for me. Any questions?
Or if you need welds on anything. Yeah, they're always looking for projects, so.
Watched Karate Kid, the wax on, wax on.
Weld on.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it's a really good course, and I like doing it. And I want to go back next year for the next year, but it's only a one-year course. So I'm either going to do auto or construction, either or, since it'll be good things for me later on in life. So, yep.
I'm Sophie Shriver, and I am in the graphic communications department, and I have a couple of projects I've done recently here, but a lot of people don't even know what graphic communications is, and they ask me, like, well, what do you actually do? And it's literally communication through graphics, like things like, we work with 3 different programs: InDesign, which is text-based, and then Photoshop, which is pixel-based, and then Adobe Illustrator, which is drawing. And we use all 3 of those to make projects such as like screen printing. I have a shirt here. And then recently I made a poster, and I had to make my own logo for my own business and create a poster that would be likable to hang up about my business. I personally love it more than I thought I would. I went there originally because I didn't want to take the art class at my school, because I'm more of a computer-based artist, and it's harder for me to draw and stuff, so I needed something different. And I've loved it more than I thought I would, and so it's been a really great experience. I would rave about both of my teachers. They are more than I could have ever asked for as a teacher, for something I didn't know about really computers and stuff. I get more than the help I need, and I know I could speak for all the students in my class for that as well. You guys have looking at.
Sophie, how do you coordinate this with all the other classes that you take in high school?
I have to take my 4 core classes, which is math, science, English, and government/econ right now. And I take those 4 in the morning, and then we leave at 11:55, and I'm gone until about 2:30, and I come back for seminar. And I'm planning on trying to do a second year in graphic communications, because there's more real-world availability for me to do. If a company needs a logo, a local company, I can create the logo and banners and stickers for their company, along with other second-year students. And I know there's one girl in my class, and they usually take 1 or 2. And so I've signed up for that because I've loved it so much, and it's such a hands-on experience, and it's just been really, I know I speak for everyone in my class too when I say that. So
One of the other benefits, and to get your point, is that they can also earn their 4th year math credit through coming down there. They can also get a 3rd science credit, although that usually doesn't work out very well because they take care of those in 9th, 10th, 11th grade. But they can also earn their visual and performing arts credit. So there are ways to flex the schedule a little bit and make it fit because of the transportation and being a big chunk of their day.
Thank you, Sophie.
yep.
I think we're going to keep those.
Yeah, she's coming up to Very nice, very nice.
Very nice.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Anything else? John Mancarelli, you have a poem from the anti-bullying contest.
Right. I've talked to you before on the contest that we were running throughout the county. It was a contest to promote in the community awareness of bullying and how we want to stop bullying. And we pose that to the community as a community project because your students in maths and the students throughout the whole county have been working and doing different projects in an effort to become more aware of tolerance and such. So this was really geared more for the parents. And I wanted to share one of the poems with you because they were all outstanding. We had 2 weeks ago, we had the presentation of the awards, and we did that at the Faith Covenant Church, and it went very well. We had art, videos, and poetry. I should have, could have, would have done something about that day. If only I had known it had finished this way. I am not happy to tell you how I just stand there and seen. He was so huge and frightening that all that I thought. I couldn't, wouldn't, shouldn't get it all at all. I say to myself, it's none of my worries, as I turned and hurried myself down the hall. I hear on the news about this kid who had died. He tells of his story, the day of his suicide. They talk about how he locked himself inside of his room, all to have drugged himself to forget all the pain. Now, as I walk through my school, that I saw this end. I hear the laughter of happiness, but see the fear, the sadness in their eyes after, and I know what their thought could easily be. They think to themselves, what happened if it was me? I could have done something. I could have told someone. I would have if I hadn't been so scared. Now, I stand here promising, if I ever see this frightening and upsetting sight again, I will change my shoulda, coulda, would have into did, have, and done. Next, huh? They were all like that. The kids that we had that won prizes were from MAPS. We do a good job here at MAPS, but the whole county has done a good job. You can look forward to these kinds of things coming more from us. The sponsors that we had were encouraged with what was going on, and they want to get involved more. So if you think of some projects, like Carol Boyd has gotten a grant for $1,000 to do some tolerance teaching this summer, bring them to us. We'd be glad to do some things with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Public communications. This portion of the agenda is for persons to address the board. Public communication and comment is limited to 3 minutes per individual. This comment period is only for those items that appear on the agenda. A second public communication and comment period is scheduled at the end of the meeting for any other items. Shelley, do you have any? Moving on, correspondence and superintendent's report.
Any comments or questions on those first two items, MCOE 2020 and the organized newsletter? Finance report.
I didn't know if anyone had any questions. We are working on amendments for the final amendments. There'll be some additional revenues coming in to that final amendment. One of them resulting from we're asking you to take action on best practices and a few other adjustments. But anyway, just want to let you know we're in that process and we're going to get any questions on the report.
Thank you.
Personnel, we have a few retirements that we know of at this point, effective at the end of the year. Dave Russell, Carlina Breitner, and Michelle Piper have to be all current special ed teachers, no particular reason, just the way it fell this year. Carlina is here, but we thank them all. They've all been with us for a while, and appreciate what they've done, wish them the best, and we believe that we're offering a retirement incentive at this point, and we believe there will be more people as time goes on. Any questions on the leadership team reports? Okay. Data review. Julia and Ethan, I think we're going to talk about some career tech data, and then we're going to talk about some ACT and MME data.
Oh, maybe not. As you know, a month or two ago, we were talking about our woodshop program, and we've been advertising for woodshop and drama, and to date, we really haven't gotten any responses. And so one of the ways that we can really expand opportunity for our kids for career and college readiness is through this, through the Career Tech program. So as you can see, over the past 3 years, and including our projected enrollment for next year, our students attending Career Tech have been increasing. And especially when we look at the areas where students are choosing to go, you can see that auto is going to be a big favorite next year. And Ethan assures me he's doing everything he can to expand our auto offerings for our students. So digital media, we heard from Sophie about digital media and some of the graphic arts. But there's all kinds of programs that our students are interested in, and they're signing up and they're going.
I'm not sure that this will get picked up by the camera, so I think it's important just to read the opportunities that our kids have at West Shore ESD. So.
Okay. And actually, I'm going to have Ethan talk about these a little bit more.
Sure, we have digital media, which is film and website design, essentially. Construction trades is pretty self-explanatory. Criminal justice is everything from pre-law to police, and mechatronics is an interesting one. That's really precision manufacturing and engineering, really a hybrid, so both hands-on kids and engineering kids benefit from that one. Welding is welding, automotive, we all know. Graphic communications, graphic arts, Sophie did a great job talking about. Hospitality is our culinary arts program. We call it hospitality because they don't just focus on cooking. They spend as much time focused on what it takes to run a restaurant and run a business as it is to how to cook a good meal. Our marketing program, and then our medical careers that you guys had for a long time up here that we have down there. So we have 10 different programs. We're also going to expand next year and offer an educator academy, but we're going to try to keep that kind of as a pilot next year before we expand. So probably in following fall is when we'll offer it up here as well.
So Julie, when you had those numbers of students, so is that 20 or 30 or 50 proposed students, or so different students?
It's considering that the class has, our junior class this year has 107 kids, and our sophomore class is kind of big. It has 128 kids, but 53 represents a pretty significant number of our juniors and seniors in a career tech program. So, and I have to hand it to Ethan, and really listening to the needs of our students and the needs of our local district, and really working hard to make those opportunities happen. Sometimes it's the small things like the busing and am I going to be able to get my lunch? Can I come back to seminar? And Ethan and all of his teachers have been very accommodating with all types of our students who are involved in career tech. So it's been a great partnership, and I want to thank you so much for all your attention to our students.
And so they happen at different times then?
Yeah, there's a morning session and an afternoon session, so all of your students come in the afternoon, but one of the things that we do is we just say, when your bus gets here, that's when you guys get here. So we don't say it starts at 12:15, you have to get here, and you all have to leave at 2:15. So I think they come around 12:15, 12:20, and leave around 1:55 so they can get back in time for the next class. But yeah, everyone from Manistee County that comes down happens to come down in the afternoon. Our two largest schools, MCC and Ludington, come in both sections, so that's our flexibility. We can say, hey, there's 17 auto kids from Manistee. Can you put your auto kids in the morning and kind of flex things around? I got to tell you, one of the best benefits of a career tech center is we're not a high school. I don't have to offer algebra and English and all of those things. So a lot of those have changed. Digital media is new within the last 3 years. Mechatronics is new within the last 3 years. Hospitality is making a change. And we're adding the educator academy thing. So there is some flexibility when you see Boilers. If this automotive trend continued, we would offer another section of automotive and maybe shrink back on something else. So there is flexibility to adapt to not just business and industry needs, but student interest.
We have a lot of student athletes, and the program's been very flexible around the needs. If we have a spirit assembly, very accommodating. They understand part of the high school experience is all those great opportunities that we have, and they make it work. So they appreciate it.
And we cover the cost.
Yes.
Okay,
Very affordable.
Yes, it is very affordable, and I think it's really an extra for us to be able to do this, because the students that come from the ISD just below us, used to be the old
West Shore
Mason Lake, now
ESD,
is-
yeah, Mason Lake and Oceana counties, yep.
They, of course, don't have to, because it's taken up with their vocational millage. So this is another, I'm not complaining, because I think I'm very happy that we're there. But when we talk about challenges financially and hurdles that we have to run over, here's another one, where it additionally costs us money to send people there a tuition. And it's simply because we haven't been able to pass a vocational millage that would, reimburse us for doing it. I don't even think we've tried. I know in my time there we have.
You bring up a good point. We're at the base foundation funding per student in the state of Michigan, along with a couple hundred other schools. And if you look at all around this, Mason Lake, Oceana County, Wexford, Misaki, I think 5 counties that make up the Traverse Bay Area ISD, all their kids go to their career tech centers at no cost to the student. Because we don't have a millage, we pay for that out of our general fund, which other districts don't. And again, as you said, we're happy to do it. It's a great experience for our kids. It's the right thing to do, but it's a cost that in this whole northwestern area, only Manistee County schools have that cost. None of the other schools do. As the MCOE 2020, that was the item A, we are talking about potentially some type of career technical college millage to fund some of these things, because we want them to be sustainable. One of the things that Howard, encouraged us for me to have this information at the board meeting, because we've cut back a lot of programs. We closed our auto shop. We moved our allied health tech, and I think a lot of people might have thought that those opportunities went away. They didn't. They've expanded. We have more opportunities for kids, and but there was a cost when we had it. There's a cost now, and we need to look at addressing that in the future so that our kids always have these opportunities available.
The truth is, we're still tied for the poor, dead last out of all 550 schools in Michigan. We're still tied for the poorest funded in the state, and we're served by the poorest ISD in the state. So we have challenges. We have hurdles to overgo to just keep even with our peers in other areas of the state.
With respect to these vocational programs, what strikes me is, yes, we've offered them in the past, but really real quality products. By doing this, by getting together with other schools, we have more people involved, we have more instructors available to us, so I think we end up definitely ahead. But I always get hung up about the little things like the travel, and I'm thinking, if I were a kid, I don't know, I wouldn't want to necessarily be on a bus for 20 minutes or so, but they may do.
The bus Wi-Fi helps a lot with that.
Thank you.
Did you have?
Oh, just one more. The board had also asked about our dual enrollment numbers for next year. Our dual enrollment numbers are right up there. We do have a number of students who join us for band, homeschooled students who join us for band, who take advantage of the opportunity to dual enroll through us, being a part-time math student. So we have a number of students taking one course next year. And most of those are courses that we don't offer on our campus. So they tend to be ancillary courses or support courses. And some students choose to take it West Shore College classes in the evening. Some students take their West Shore College classes throughout the school day, and we make it work. Thank you.
We're going to go into the ACT.
Oh, yes. I was not able to include this in the board packet because the data is still embargoed. So everyone forget you ever saw this. 11th graders take the ACT and MME. This year it was the first month of March. The ACT company gives us the results of the tests pretty early. We won't find out what the state of Michigan says our test results are for several weeks. Just take a minute to look at it. On the graph, you can see 2 years ago, the juniors of 11-12 are represented in blue. Last year's class is represented in red, and this year's class is right in the middle. Now, the data that we have does not include our special ed students. Their results come a little bit later. They take a different test version. And so you can see here, we take the plan test in 10th grade. And this year's class was predicted to perform between 18 and 22 on the ACT. And our kids performed, I'm thinking once we add the special ed kids, at about 19.1. So we're a little under where we thought we might be. But overall, pretty good scores, and I think we'll be at or near state average this year.
Do you get more of a breakdown later on? Specifics of that?
Right now, students got their results back in the mail within a couple of weeks of their test, and we get sort of a big, we get their individual test scores, and so I have to add them all together and average them. And by the end of May or June, we'll get all the scores, of course, after the kids are gone. So it's another reason we're really looking forward to having the interim assessment, so that we can actually see our students' progress and results while they're with us during the school year.
Do you actually get a breakdown, say, of this concept within science or literature?
Well, you're touching on something that is pretty frustrating. ACT owns all of their test items, and they'll give us a very general overview. They're called strands within geometry, maybe 4 or 5 very general concepts, but we really don't get anything specific back about what those geometric concepts were. The MEAT test gives you a little bit more feedback. Those are owned by Michigan. But ACT, all we get is pretty much a number and not much else. It's a little frustrating when you're trying to anticipate what
Do they sell more?
Pardon?
No, they just choose not to share it at all.
When we buy the Plan and Explore test, we actually get the actual test that the students take, and we can look at their scores, and we can look at the actual test item. But when it comes to the ACT, this is pretty much what we get. So, again, another great reason to have the IAP, so that we can really target what we need to do with our students to get them to mastery and beyond. Yeah, if you'd be so kind, pass those back so I can destroy them.
Pass one.
The embargoed test. Yes, it's an issue if it's on film.
You want me to black that out?
Yes, I do. Thanks, John.
Yep.
Hey, Andy, did you want to introduce the teachers that you have here?
Yeah, I feel guilty because a couple of them already left already. Yes. First of all, we have Deb Irving over here in first grade, and she had her student. And I didn't want to forget Mr. Bill Edmondson also. He does double duty at Kennedy and also over here at Jefferson. We already kind of touched on Miss Julie, the heart and soul of this building. So we'll just mention her again because she's so good. We have Scott Matheson in second grade, Jane Wojciechowski in third grade. We have Lee Antel in third grade. We have Carla Hilliard Super Parapro here, and Manistee Manistee in second grade. And I know Kim Elzingham was here earlier.
And Randy was here.
Randy Olenichek was here too. Randy works both at Manistee. So, really good team. You do a great job every day. And thank you, Dr. Ansel. You probably saved me a lot of grief.
All right. On to MDA recognition.
Carolina. And Stacy.
Last week was Teacher Appreciation Week, and the union, Teachers Union, believes that it's not just the teachers that teach the children, but it's everyone from the bus drivers that pick them up in the morning and take them home at night, to our ladies that feed them, to the parapros that work with the teachers and the children, and of course, all of you. So we do have a certificate for all of you, and it states that there's a certificate of appreciation is presented in each one of your names on Teacher Day, School Day, Family Day 2014, in recognition of your dedication to helping your school produce a national treasure, successful and productive men and women. May 6, 2014, the Manistee Teachers Association.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, you guys should give it to, yep.
John, anything on your item number 8?
No, just information.
One surprise.
Yep, we have played Little Mermaid that's coming up on the 16th and 17th. We have the 32nd annual Bandarama at 2:30 on May 18th. Is that it?
Yep.
Okay.
That's all the evenings.
Yes, that is. All right. I did forgot my glasses. I'm struggling. Then the next item, kind of a Joel submitted his letter of resignation from the Board of Education effective at the end of the month. I can tell you that he has a unique perspective, having served as a school board member and as a superintendent, and it's just been very, he's just been a great resource on this board, but life is calling him in different directions. I'll let you say anything you want to say about that, Joel, but I personally appreciate you on the board, and if you have anything to say, then we'll talk about you.
It's just become obvious that my wife and I are going to be spending more and more time in Texas, and I thought that by resigning a little bit early might allow the community to double vet whoever my replacement is in the terms of being chosen by the board, and then of course going through the election process in November. So, so it's hard for me to do this, and I've enjoyed every minute of it, but it's time for me to do other things. So thank you all, and I'll continue to help.
We're not accepting.
You guys come up with these directions late.
So, you have a little bit of decision-making to do, and that the board, Joel submitted his resignation effective at the end of the month. So, sometime in June, you need to have a board member appointed to fill a seat, or the obligation to fill that seat would then go to the intermediate school district, which I see no reason for that to happen. We've done this a couple times since I've been here. In fact, that's how Joel initially got on the board. So what we're required to do is to let people know, and part of letting people know, it's going to be on TV, I'm sure it'll be in the paper. We'll post a little classified ad in the Advocate, letting people know, and word of mouth. So as you're talking to people, you can tap people on the shoulder and say, hey, I think you'd be good for this, or if you know anybody that would be good for this. And then what we did last time, and I would recommend that we do this time, is that people who are interested would submit some type of written material to the board. And we left it fairly open last time. It could be a letter, it could be their resume, it could be both a letter and a resume. We then invited those folks to a board meeting, and then at I can't remember if it was that board meeting or a subsequent board meeting, the board votes. And you can't vote until that seat is vacant, so you can't vote until sometime in June. But you can collect, we can be collecting these candidates and whatnot, materials at this point. So it's kind of the timeline. If you go to the end of your agenda, you see where we have meetings. We have a board study session on the 28th. Again, you can't vote on that day, but you can have candidates who are interested there that day if you wanted to. And then you have a board meeting on June 11th. So that would seem like again, I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm just talking out loud, thinking out loud. That seems like that would be an appropriate time for the board to vote, and then that candidate would be seated for the budget meeting on June 25th, which this year is going to be one of the more, I think, pleasant budget amendment adoptions that we've had in a number of years. But they'll be right in the thick of it, their first meeting with the budget meeting, if you followed that timeline. So what's the board's pleasure on that?
You're proposing that maybe in the next week, 24th or something, have interested people in?
Paul and I talked today that we could actually extend that to the 27th.
Give it a little more time.
Yeah, that they could, then if they submitted whatever they wanted to and write it by the 27th, and we can scan that and email it to you so you'd have a day to review it before they would show up on the 28th, we were thinking. And then we gave the candidates an opportunity to make a statement. I would say you limit that to 3 or 5 minutes a candidate. Let's see how many we have. And then, that would get to that meeting, and then you would think about it, and you would come back as a board, and you would decide on the 11th.
I would recommend that's exactly how we do it.
Okay. I don't know. I don't think it would hurt to have a motion that we to approve that timeline, that we accept applications, or not applications, but we accept material on interested candidates till the end of the business day on the 27th, that the candidates would show up at the meeting on the 28th, and that the board would vote on a replacement for Joel on the 11th.
Have an opportunity to show up and discuss.
I have an opportunity. They're not required. Yep.
Add that under J.
Okay, add that as okay. And then that candidate will have to rerun in November. So they actually have a very short window to either pay their $100 filing fee or collect however many signatures they need to collect, which I think is a larger number now. 50?
Yeah, middle of July, July 22nd.
Okay, so yeah, they'll have July 22nd to get on the ballot if they so choose by for the November ballot. So.
Okay. Old business?
Do we have a correction?
We're going to do it as a
I didn't hear.
Action item or is it
Okay,
okay?
thank you.
old business, the student representative on the Board of Education. I would like, where's Ken? I would like, Ken was going to talk about this, something similar to this, and then we'll talk more about this specifically.
Yeah,
I think
thanks,
these two things tie together nicely.
Knowing that you guys were looking for a student representative on the board, Julie and I did some talking about some of the things we wanted to do at the high school as well. And one of those things was coming up with a student advisory committee to give some of our students a little more of a voice in what going on at the high school. We do have a student council right now that works on homecoming, winter carnival, things like that. They're a very busy bunch, especially at those times of the year. So we're looking at creating another committee made up of students and also of some of the people from the student council to act as a voice, for our students when it comes to certain issues, changes, and handbook items, just daily things that come along that a lot of times, we'll hear grumblings from the students and say, well, why are you doing this? Why is this that? Why is that thing taking place now? And we want to give them a little more of a voice. It's going to do a lot of different things. It'll aid in communication between the students and the faculty. It'll hopefully aid in communication between the students and the board. It's going to give them some leadership skills. It'll also give us some good data, hopefully, down the line. We're looking at school improvement. We've got input from the students directly. We're not quite sure of the makeup. I know we sent you a copy of our proposal. Could be anywhere from 8 to 12 students, also with the principals involved. We're looking at the student council that we already have in place. We'll have one person from that group, and then we'll also have some at-large students that would be either chosen by the students or also some of the faculty or staff members. And then out of this student advisory committee, that group would then select one person that would join you guys on your board. Might be one, might be two, depending on if that one person can make every meeting. We might have an alternate or something like that. But that would be our proposal. And again, we would still have our student council to do all those other event things, but this is a group that we want to get some more input from the students. So that's what we're looking at doing next year, and we hope that fits in what you guys do.
I think that does touch on the ideas we were looking for and expands it a little bit. So that's great. Any other thoughts or discussion about that? So with the next school year, we're planning on implementing.
Yeah, starting next year.
Thank you. No other old business here. We have some business and action items. We have some minutes to take care of.
Okay, we've got three. Actually, I'd like to make three separate motions that we approve the minutes from the regular board meeting on April 9th. And I handed out closed session minutes, also from April 9th, and then our work study board meeting minutes from April 23rd.
Any corrections? No? Okay. Motion by Chris. Do I have a second? Motion by Shelley. All right, second by Chris. All those in favor say yes?
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes. Approval of accounts.
Just a slight note that it is a special board meeting the 23rd. It wasn't going to start a meeting in July. I should have said that.
Okay.
It was special board meeting on the 23rd. So noted.
Thank you, Nancy. Approval of accounts payable report.
Make a motion that we balance of $222,087.04.
Do I have a second? Motion by Paul, support by Shelley. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes. Okay. Next, we have approval of the best practice in Senate School Board resolution. This is a roll call vote. Is there any discussion?
You want Howard to briefly explain what this is?
Sure. As part of the state aid packages that's in place now, there's a categorical called best practices funding, and if a school district is able to certify that they've met 7 of the 8 best practices, they can receive $52 per pupil. So for us, it's a little over $80,000 in additional revenue for this fiscal year. We've met those requirements, and this is the board certifying to the state that we've done so.
You know, an interesting point is one of the best practices is the interim assessment program that we're doing, either doing it or...
Yeah, that was, we talked about that at our budget meeting, and one of the 8 best practices is that we certify that we have at least a minimum of 2 assessments a year, and that we communicate the results with parents. And so if you don't have that in place, you have to certify that you have a plan that you're working toward it, which is what we were able to do. So we were able to, meet 7 of the 8 this year.
Yeah, and if we've done 6, we've got nothing.
Nothing, 0.
So the 7, we meet those without any problems?
No, we're fine on 7. The 8th it may have been questionable if we had hit everything. A lot of districts have applied for that item, and the State Department comes back and follows up to make sure that you're doing it all. A lot of those have had to send in additional information to make sure they're doing it. Or for sure, we've got 7. So.
Still need a motion and a second. Motion by Jim, second by Paul. Roll call vote.
Roll call vote. Mr. Forrester?
Yes.
Dr. Hampton?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Rice?
Yes.
Okay. Resolution passes by majority vote. Let it be shown Tom Williams is absent. All right, next, we're going to talk about the approval of the MISD Technology Services Consortium. Of course, part of the calendar.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, so you have the proposed school year calendar. We're required to add some days next year, so we would have 175 student days, 177 staff days. Teachers would start on August 27th, students on the day after Labor Day, which Labor Day is as early as it can be this year. So students would start on September 2nd. The kids would get out, barring a winter like we had this year, they would get out on June 3rd. And there's a lot of detail in there, and I don't know if we put this on the website yet. No, it's not on the website, but we'll get it on the website as soon as you approve it. If you approve
This has the after spring break, that Monday after spring break still in it, correct?
Yes, that's through the ISD. There's certain breaks and things that we have to do within our ISD, and that's
it.
one
They
that...
have to be ISD-wide, we don't have a say in it. So we have to have that day off right now because that's what the ISD calendar says, and that calendar has to be published, I believe, 5 years out. So you can actually go on the ISD website calendar, you can see for the next 5 years when spring break, Christmas break start. You know, there's several dates on there that you'll see.
But all the schools in the district, all in the ISD district, discuss that calendar.
Yeah, we do have a vote. We do have a vote on that.
For all the half days, are they ISD as well? It just seems like we have a lot of
No, the half days a lot this year are to coincide with our interim assessment program, so that when we provide the assessment, then we have time built into the calendar to analyze it and make changes.
And also a half day counts as a full day of instruction. So we're better off, if we had a full day off for professional development, we're adding days on at the end of the year. So a half day, it's 51% or more of the day. And we do try to have them on Fridays and occasionally a Monday, just to balance it out. Surprisingly, I don't think we've had any complaints from the communities about Friday afternoons.
Any other discussion, questions? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the school calendar for 2014-15.
Do I have a second? Motion by Chris, second by Paul. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. That passes. All right. Now, the Technology Services Consortium Cooperative.
Yes. So I'd like to turn this over to Ken, let him explain to you what this is, how it benefits us.
For the last 2 years, we've been part of the Manistee Tech Cooperative. The ISD is basically provide technology services for county districts. In our case, we ended up contracting network services, so they end up helping maintain our network, our server infrastructure, all things that really benefit from having somebody that's highly trained and highly certified, which the ISD is able to provide far, far, far cheaper than if we ended up having to hire somebody out for those specific services. So economically, it makes a ton of sense. The service has been awesome from the ISD. And then they kind of richened the pot this year because as part of the cooperative agreement, they're providing us with free internet service at a rate of 500 megabit per second, which is right now currently we're at 200 megabits, so it's more than double what we have. That's at least a $10,000 expense that we won't have next year because of this. So being a part of the tech cooperative has a lot of benefits to the district and zero negatives. They've been a great group to work with on this. Any questions?
There was that back there, and you kind of clarified because it talks about Appendix A in there and some of the technology and the services. And we still have, the kid has a problem, they're still coming to us. They're not calling like a help desk or something like that, correct?
Well, there's a help desk system that we end up using to communicate issues with them, but if there's any need for them to be on site, I mean, they're on site right away. That's one of the things that's been really great about them because since they're not that far away, they're able to provide service very, very, very quickly. They're really on top of things. A lot of times they have all these monitoring systems. They know what problems even before we've experienced any problems yet. So they've been really proactive and excellent on that type of stuff.
But Jim, was your question if one of our students has an issue?
Oh, I'm sorry.
If one of our students has an issue with their device, it's our staff that...
Correct, yes. I'm sorry, I misunderstood what you're saying.
Yeah, that's still our staff.
Any further discussion? If not, do I have a motion?
Motion?
Okay. Motion by Jim to accept the Technology Services Co-op agreement. Do I have a second?
Support.
Support by Joe. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes. Moving on to MISD General Fund Budget.
A number of years ago, I don't know how long ago, within the last 10, I believe, local boards of education were required to review the ISD budget, and you don't technically pass it, but you support it or you don't. And if you don't, you indicate why you don't or what questions you have, etc. But you've been provided with the Manistee, this is for the general fund budget only, and we get a little, I get a little more information just through my superintendent meetings and different things that I'm familiar with. I see no reason not to support it, so I would recommend that we do support the Manistee ISD general fund budget, but the choice is yours.
Any concerns or questions?
Do you know where any of the specifics, or Howard, do you know? I noticed you get some of those that go up like operations and maintenance, you know, it's kind of double from one year to the next. Why that would be?
I didn't hear you saying.
You know, you look down through some of those and you look at from the 13-14 final to what they're proposing now, that a lot of those are very similar.
Yep.
We get down to even the operations and maintenance, that kind of jumped. I mean, we're not talking about money, but percentage-wise,
I don't know.
But ours did this year too, Howard.
Yep.
With the snow removal and heating, ours jumped.
Reported in that function, as you said, John, we didn't experience that.
Okay.
But I don't know specifics. There's nothing that jumped out at me that seemed out of line at all.
Did I make a motion? Okay, motion by Tom.
Paul.
Paul, sorry. Support by Shelley, and this is for the resolution for the Manistee Board of Education to support the proposal for the intermediate school district budget. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes.
Ms. Colvin, motion seconded by
Shelley. Tom is not here. John, you had something to...
Yeah. So on this last, no, we have one more action item after that. We have the appointment timeline. But on this action item, currently we offer shared time, and we've done it. I think Joel, you started it. We offer shared time with Manistee Catholic Central, and the way that works is that if we provide 1 out of 6 hours of instruction to them a day, we get to claim 1/6 of however much money we get per student in state aid. Manistee Catholic Central doesn't pay anything, and again, we get that, whatever that fraction is, in revenue. And we've done that, again, for 12, 15 years. And it's been going on for decades around the state. This current year, the cooperative that we did with Grayling, Sutton's Bay, and MAPS, we did that, some shared time through an online program on a limited basis. And the Diocese of Gaylord would like to expand that. And since that 3-school cooperative is dissolving, it's called Great Lakes K-12, is dissolving, the relationship is really with us. And so we have, I guess, first dibs on whether we want to do this or not. But what we're looking at doing, or what your proposal would be, is that we expand considerably to 600 to 1,200 courses, 6 courses equaling 1 student. So at 600 courses, we would have about 100 FTE and with, across the diocese, and at 1,200, obviously, we would double that. So it's somewhere in that range, but we're confident they're going to be 600. So we generate the equivalent of
600 classes.
600 classes. We generate the equivalent, which would be about 100,
maybe 100 FTE.
100 FTE students. So over 700,000 in revenue. We've got expenses in there, and when it's all said and done, we've provided a service. Those parents pay taxes, and we would net out some revenue that I suspect would be somewhere between 50 and 150,000 until we nail some things down. I'm confident 50 is low, way low. I think it's going to be higher, but you have to decide whether you want to do it or not, whether you want us to do it. There's a nuance that anything that we offer to, like for instance, when we offer something to Manistee Catholic Central, we have to offer that same thing to our own students. So we do. We offer art there, we offer art here. We offer Spanish there, we offer Spanish here. So the classes that we're offering to the Diocese of Gaylord, not every student in the diocese is going to take, and we don't know yet. We've talked at our principal meetings about how we would offer those to our students. Would it be that we would offer them and the students that wanted them would take them, or would we, like at the elementary or middle school level, would we try to schedule every student? We're talking mainly foreign language here, and it doesn't matter if the diocese chooses French and German and Latin, and we choose, Spanish and other languages. A foreign language, we're offering a foreign language. We have to offer our kids a foreign language. So we might offer a foreign language to all of our kids, or we just might offer it more on a select basis that any student who wanted to would indicate that they wanted to and sign up. We haven't figured that out, but it does mean that we would be offering our students in grades 1st through 12 a foreign language, so that's a benefit. It would come at some cost, but that's where that net figure that we have already includes those costs in it. And when I talk about netting, a lot of times people are like, they get that we're making money on these students, and we are. We've made money on shared time, not so much anymore. But there's got to be an economic incentive for us to take on these projects. And the kids at Jefferson, they don't cost as much as we get in state aid either. The younger the student, the less expensive they are to educate, and we take that money and we run more expensive high school programs and career tech programs and different things. So when people hear that we're making a little bit of net on these students, it's no different than we do pretty much K through 8th grade. So I don't know if you have questions. The thing I did tell you, and I don't like expedited processes, but this was just an idea until this week or maybe last week, I guess, when we finally got a survey back from the diocese, each individual school, on how many kids they were confident, a low conservative number, that they were confident that these kids would be taking classes. So we're kind of at a point where if we're going to have this go smoothly, we need to know sooner than later that we're going to do it.
I guess I'd like to know more on our expense part. I mean, how much is it? We have to hire a teacher, correct? Or our teachers, or?
We would be looking at the addition of the classes that we're offering this year are, and I say we, it's through the 3-school cooperative, are mainly Latin. And we have a Latin teacher that's done a fabulous job that works really well, and I don't think there are many Latin teachers out there. So we would end up hiring a Latin teacher, and we know, we'll post it and advertise it, but we know that this person's available. Though there aren't a lot of Latin teachers, there's not a lot of call for Latin teachers. So he's not going somewhere else. We know we can hire the Latin teacher. That would be the one teacher that we would look at bringing on staff. Then the other teachers would be, and we've done this in the past when we ran Yes Academy, the other teachers would be adjunct, for lack of a better word. They would be paid a certain amount per student per semester to work in the online. And they all need to be certified, highly qualified in that specific language.
And there are teachers, not Gaylord's teachers. There would be math teachers living in Gaylord. Is that correct?
They're actually would be more almost an independent contract status. So they're not like the teacher that we hired. The Latin teacher would be our teacher, would go on our seniority list, those type of things. The other ones would not. So I'm not
And
sure.
it's all online. That's the other part I don't get.
It's online, but these students, to compare and contrast this a little bit with the Yes Academy or the three-school cooperative we did this year at Great Lakes K-12, that was a seat time waiver program. And a seat time waiver program, the kids don't show up to a given site. So they're working, you know, at home or the public library, wherever they choose to work, and they're on their own time table. You know, if they want to work, you know, 8 hours today and 2 hours tomorrow and 10 hours the next day, they can do that. Where this would be, you know, we have to provide, in the seat time waiver program, we had to provide an internet, we had to provide a computer and internet access if they needed it. Mentor, teacher, just a lot of things. The counting, the pupil accounting was very cumbersome. With the shared time program, the kids are in the Catholic school. If they're in the seat on count day, we get to count them. They're using their labs, their internet service. So they're at a site, they're monitored, they have it scheduled into their day. It just seems to me like it's set up. Some kids do very well in the seat time waiver program where they are completely on their own and they're very self-disciplined, and some kids don't. Well, in this situation, there's much more structure, and again, you have the support of the school. And when I say Catholic, right now we're working with the Catholic schools. We're gonna offer this to any private or parochial school that would want to take advantage of it, because the way the model is if you have 3 kids, we can offer it. If you have 33 kids, we can offer it. It's because we are not putting staff on site.
Question, what are the actual financial risks associated with it?
Unlike the other 2 startups that we did, I'll call them startups. When we started Yes Academy, I was confident it was going to work, but we didn't have any students enrolled when we started that. So there was, to me, there was some risk involved there, but we also weren't adding staff until we added students, so the risk was moderate. When we started the 3-school cooperative, we knew we had returning students, so we knew we had some customer base to start with, but there was still also some risk in that, were we going to get to that critical mass where we were, you know, breaking even and then running a little bit into a positive net situation. In this situation, we know who our students are pretty much already. That's what we were waiting on. I mean, these kids are we can't service kindergartners. It's not allowable by law for shared time to service kindergartners. So we will serve 1st through 12th grade. Those kids are already in the system, the Catholic school system. The Catholic school already knows that we're going to schedule, okay, you know, at, I forget the name of the school in Cadillac. You know, we're going to schedule these grades that have these many kids in them for these classes. So we've got those numbers. So there's not a lot of risk involved because we know we have that population is there. We know what it is. It's really not going to grow much either. That's the other thing is you know, there's no need for us to go out and do a lot of advertising or really any, because that's not who we're gathering. We're servicing. We're more dealing with visiting schools and dealing with administration. So I don't see that there's a lot of risk, extremely low risk involved. The other thing is that we are, you know, let's say 2 or 3 schools decided not to go with us. Well, that just means that we wouldn't purchase the software and we wouldn't hire the adjunct. So I just don't see that there's much risk at all in this.
What about cash flow?
Cash flow, we would have to put out a little bit of money. When I say a little bit, doesn't sound like a little bit if you compare it to your personal checkbook, but compare it to a $14 million budget. I'm anticipating that we start getting money for these students in October, like we start getting money for our kids in October. We don't get any state aid for the current school year until October 20th. So we would start getting these students in, would it be October or even November? Howard, I'm not sure how that works.
I'm not sure when they would have.
But somewhere we would start getting these students. So we would have a few months of some expenses, but I would suspect it's going to be 50 grand or less. And because a lot of the teachers, they don't get paid. You know, this teacher, any staff that we have on would get some payment through those months. But the adjunct teachers, they don't get paid until the semester's partway through. It's kind of like we do with our coaching. We don't pay our coaches up front. You know, they do part of the season, we pay them. They do part of the season, we pay them some more, and we finish them up at the end. And that's kind of how we work the adjunct teachers. So there's really not a lot of cash flow issue there. A little bit.
We have to hire someone to oversee this.
We would, right.
That's probably one of the biggest.
That would be part of that initial, those monthly costs, and the teacher, and yeah, but not, it shouldn't be a huge amount.
John, let me ask you this, because the shared time program's been around for a long time, where I see this being different from what we're doing right now with Manistee Catholic, or what we did in Williamson. Same thing is that the teacher, there's a teacher and the technology that go together. But you're saying that is there a teacher with the kids at every time the kids meet? Or
no,
I don't understand that.
No. There's a teacher available through the technology,
okay.
But the Catholic school will have their staff monitoring those students in their
So there's
lab.
a teacher of record who's working with students throughout in many different places.
Right.
Like we may have the Latin teacher may be the same Latin teacher for all the schools that are in the diocese.
And he works through Skype and
so
emails.
So he probably would be making, or she would be making visits to the school, but not certainly every day.
I don't even know if he